for and see how they compare to the neighbor houses, so.
Okay. I'd like to just maybe steer the conversation into a different direction right now, because obviously Michael and I are not educated enough to answer your questions on any of the subdevelopment issues. And the lady in back in the green has had her hand up for quite some time. I'd like to give her a chance to speak.
Well, it's very simple. I just want to know, when is the projected finish date?
Right now, we are looking at sometime between February and March of 2014, but that is subject to change due to material availability
What about,
in our construction
right, what
schedule.
about the construction? Is it ongoing now for Mr. Wingarten and the noise and all that stuff? What, is the site cleared and most of that stuff done, or is there another month, 2 weeks, a year? What?
Like I said before, basically 100% of the clearing and the heavy machinery work is done. It will become less and less intensive as time goes on. My assumption is that within probably 3 weeks, most of the grading operations will be now occurring in the far corner of the lot. We are actively taking some material out here and bringing it down to build this embankment right now. That is continually being graded off. Once that achieves grade, we're going to be moving to this back part of the array to clear the remainder of that and get ready for our electrical trenching. So within 3 to 4 weeks, almost all of the heavy equipment work along the adjacent property owners will be complete. And then we'll be bringing in smaller pieces of equipment to do our electrical trenching, our solar array infrastructure, and then the racking system that we will install. So we anticipate that portion of the project taking about 3 to 4 months. Sorry, lady in the red.
I got the answer to, what would be the height on those panels? When you said the highest ones would be along the butter and butter.
Question was, what would be the height of the panels? And we talked about trying to explain what they would look like. Is there a detail of?
Yeah, we're going to look in the PV drawings, Michael. So it might be difficult to see for your folks in the crowd, but this area here is a typical rendering of what a solar panel racking system and array will look like. So this large rectangle here corresponds to these individual rectangles on the overall site plan. Each complies of, I think it's 11 individual solar panels or 22 individual solar panels, like 22 individual solar panels. And Andrew, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the total height of the panel will be somewhere around 6 to 8 feet at the highest point.
How much does each one of the panels cost to make? Well, you don't have that.
Yeah, an individualized, the question was how much does a solar panel cost to make? We don't have an individual panel cost. We rarely ever buy one solar panel. It's bought in bulk. So I really don't have an individual number for that.
How many's going on this project? How many individuals, or you say there's 4 or 22 in each one?
There's going to be 16,750, somewhere around there, solar
What's
panels.
the environmental impact on all that?
Basically zero. So, and we have some literature we would like to hand out to you guys so you can learn a little bit more about what the constituent parts of a solar panel are.
Why wouldn't you just put wind power up there? Winds go 24/7. Solar's only good when the sun's shining.
Wind is only good when the wind is blowing. So.
Wind's always blowing.
All right, so
Yeah,
there's a question
we
in
have
the
some
back.
other questions over here. The gentleman in the back with his hand up there.
The maximum height of the panel rack, whatever, is 8 feet, 6 to 8 feet?
I believe so. Now, what happens? Just give you a little insight on the design process.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
If it's, how tall is the stockade fence?
8.
No, the stockade fence detail is also on the drawings. I'm going to go flip to that now.
I know we're about, while he's looking that up, we're about an hour and a half in. If we have any more general questions that might be of use, I think we'll keep this going as long as you want, but if you have individual property questions, perhaps we can, when we break, you can come up and we'll be here, the construction team will be here to take any questions. Does that make sense, or, I'm willing to go as long as you want, but, what do you think? Have we got most of it? And then, just so you know, I have put my cards on the back counter there. Take my card, has my email. If you send me an email, I'll send you my cell phone so you can get a hold of me anytime, or the office number, and we can continue to keep you updated with any questions or concerns as they move forward.
But at the base of the post. So-
To answer the gentleman's question about what's the tallest point of any solar panel on the property, it will be 9'6", and that takes into account the grade change throughout the site. So if we have a linear racking system, obviously it would be shorter at the higher end and higher at the lower end. And we're 9'6" will be the maximum height.
And how high is the fence?
Oh, I'm sorry. The stockade fence is, I believe, a 2 or a 3 rail stockade fence. So I don't believe the stockade fence is any higher than 4 or 5 feet. The chain link fence that we have surrounding the property will be a 6-foot chain link fence.
Am I gonna be able to see these things from my backyard?
Again, your backyard is, again, I'm gonna,
The one with the hole in the debris landscape.
right here. Any of them.
No, the one with the opening in the gate.
That one.
The one with
This one right here. You may be able to see some of them, the tops of some.
Electricity free if you see them.
Two-story house? I remember I was up there in your driveway.
Yeah.
Can I make a request that I not see them at all?
You have pictures of all the houses?
Where was that place of the trees for sure?
Yeah, I think a lot of these questions and a better understanding of how the site will look at the end of the project might be solved by this field walk that was proposed. And as Michael said, he and I will through Mr. Formica, organize that and make sure we can get out to site, we can walk every piece of the land in a safe manner. Travis will be with us, our on-site superintendent, myself, and possibly Michael, to answer any questions that you have.
All right, I'm now the technical person on the TV. Our high school intern is gone, so I'll do the best.
Don't touch anything, please.
Yeah, I know. So if there are other teenagers in here that are more qualified, I'm happy to send them up.
Okay. Mr. Mingo hasn't spoken for a while. I'll take him first.
There's an on-site drill well on the property. Do you consider, at least for the next year, monthly monitoring the water in that well to see if there's any change in the chemistry makeup of the water?
We've already been given the nod that yes, we can sample that well.
Yes. Well, we spoke about sampling the abutting properties owner's water, which we are definitely willing to do. That well, Joe, I think is somewhere right here where you see.
I think it's north,
It's somewhere in this general vicinity.
it's somewhere in that area. I don't know where to drill it, but it's there.
That well, we believe, serviced the barn or a previous structure there in the past, and we have no idea how.
Well, I mean, that's, had to be because of the height of the casing.
The casing, it's a drilled well. It's
Drilled well.
yes.
If we monitor it, we could alleviate some of it. And by the way, if anybody wants to know who owns this property, you go to the Secretary of State's office, it's all public information, you can find out who the owners are. They actually have a website. If you go to the Secretary of State's office and every LLC, all that information is available from the state of Connecticut.
All right, any other questions, or?
We're going to go to Mr. Wingardner and then back to you.
With all due apologies and sincerity, Mr. Mendino, you're not actually correct. By setting up a limited liability corporation, only one person is held responsible. The limited partners are not listed. That's how you can manipulate things around. But I apologize sincerely for my comments. But I was just wondering, could you give us a summary of what you're gonna take from this meeting as possible changes to the project?
No, I don't.
Well, can I
think-
answer it too?
Yeah,
Right
sure,
now,
Michael.
we haven't suggested any changes at all. I think the changes that we're talking about, or we really came prepared tonight to try to investigate, were how our operations throughout the course of construction were affecting everyone else around us, i.e. the sediment in wells, the noise. So, you know, maybe the last part of the.
Dust from them heavy,
Well, I want to make sure we talk about that, because I, you know, personally, I have concerns about that, any projects that our companies are working on, to make sure that dust control is a major issue, so, but you know what, and I'm happy to work together with John Lombardi and Ryan and Travis. Travis is on site every day of the week. I don't want dust flying. We don't want dust flying off the site, so that is a portion of the meeting that I was hoping we could get to and spend just a little bit of time, because there's probably concerns. There's concerns about hours, there's concerns about dust, and let's get them on the table, and we will do our best to make sure that we tailor what's going on within the realm of what we can do. We certainly can't stop work, you know, at a certain time of the day, because we want to get the project finished. So we can take it in that direction, but it sounds like there's another question first.
Well, along those lines, in the development and management plan staff report, it talks about an anti-tracking pad at the entrance.
Yeah, the question is the anti-tracking pad at the entrance, and for those of you who don't know the significance of anti-tracking pad, we install on any project where we're going to be disturbing, you know, what used to be vegetated land, a pad, an area usually around 50 feet wide. The depth of it will vary, with stone, so that when trucks drive through it, it pulls the material that they gained from the site off before they enter our street system, to try to avoid sediment getting into our drainage structures on the roadways. That has been installed. Maybe Ryan can point to the location of where it is. It's right down off of the entrance.
It's already starting to get pretty filled up.
Yep.
And that
Yes.
requires maintenance. And if you feel as though that there's sediment in the roadway or there's something affected, you know, our representative, Travis Burton, will make sure he works together with you know, the Lombardi crew, and to no relation, incidentally, to me. And that is part of an ongoing maintenance program during construction.
Any other questions, final comments? Does anybody want to have anything
Yeah,
clarified
we'll
before
come
we
right,
go?
right to you at the end, so we'll take.
What may help folks get an understanding of what this is going to be like is that there is a solar field in Springfield, Massachusetts. Some of your neighbors have gone out to it, and as a matter of fact, they did it a couple of years ago when they first heard about this. They did get an idea of what would be faced with. It's called Silver Falls, I believe. So if you're interested, go up to Springfield. It's what, we've got half the side acres, but it gives me a good idea of what this is gonna look like in its own state.
Any other final comments or thoughts? Any?
Is it in a residential neighborhood, or is it in, it is?
I just had two questions. One, I guess the final plans, the most updated plans, like the complete set with like the DNO plans and the stormwater management, does our town have copies of all of those latest documents?
They do.
Joe, what do you have down there?
We have all of the latest plans, with the exception of one page, which
Oh, I'm sorry.
the gentleman will get to me very soon, a day or so. And they're always available in the land use office downstairs.
Okay, and then I guess the one last question I had was, the road that's being used during the construction phase, when will that change, I guess, like the trajectory of the road? Because it seems, from my limited view from my kitchen windows, it seems to go straight back behind our house and then up. Is it going to at some point curve further up? And, because I thought there was supposed to be like, the construction road was supposed to curve more along that line right there towards the gate. I don't know if you, like, it seems like it goes
Okay,
like
so
this.
so this is the old farm road.
Right, it seems
which
like it
is
goes
right
like
here.
this.
Yep.
So when is it gonna start going like that?
You are correct. That's if it's an area of concern for you, we can definitely work with the sequencing of the site to get that done sooner than later. I do have a meeting with John Lombardi tomorrow, the site contractor on the project, and I will certainly mention that to him, and then be able to be back in touch with you and let you know when that portion of the project's going to happen.
What number house do you have so I can?
Or 103.
So we'll call that the access road north of 103?
Mhm.
Okay.
East.
East?
East.
What about all the loom that's being trucked out of that site?
You know,
I know
that,
with another
that came up.
construction sites, they gotta have special permits for that
Yeah.
garbage and everything else.
That came up where the question is, when is the loam being trucked out, or the concept of materials being trucked out? Ryan, maybe you could talk. We're using most of those materials on site.
Yes, there is a small excess of material considering the total volume of material we're moving on this job that needs, there needs to be removed. So right now, about 1,000 yards of material has been removed from the site and used at John Lombardi's discretion. The remainder of the material is going to stay. I had a conversation with him 2 days ago, and he says, yeah, I'm not taking any more material off this site because we're going to need it here to make grade. In order to support the seed mixes that we're proposing to put down, a significant amount of loom is going to be needed to dress up the perimeter of this site and to spread throughout the entire array. So really you're dealing with total cross-section of existing loom to what the plan calls for now. This was former farm field and had been plowed for hundreds of years, and you had very, very nice topsoil there. So there was more topsoil than we anticipated, but we're at a point now where we don't anticipate much more export from this project because we're going to need it all on site.
And I'm saying the road they were taking it down, Walnut Hill Road, there's a lot of people that walk that road with their dogs and stuff, and them trucks were just whipping right through there, them Lombardi trucks.
Okay, that's another great point, and we will bring that up with John Lombardi tomorrow morning
Now,
when I meet
now
with him.
they're almost all done with the trucking out stage, but nothing was done when they were trucking out.
I'm sorry, but it was not brought to our attention that was an issue, and if it was,
We didn't have that meeting beforehand, now we got the meeting after.
It was brought to attention that there was left some residue. I did speak with,
I'm not talking about the residue.
I did
I'm
speak to
talking about
Lombardi.
the-
So,
Them triaxle dumps
Yeah.
going down that small road.
yeah, I didn't know about the speed,
That
but
road ain't wide enough for a triaxle dump.
are there any,
And why
Other-
did they go down along the hill when they could have went out Grassy Hill to 161?
yeah,
I believe.
Not to Route 85.
we have
And
any,
there was a lot that was going down 85 on the hill also.
Mr. Peterson?
Can we anticipate the panels coming in? How many trucks will be bringing that? Where will the trucks come in from Grassy Hill, Walnut Hill?
I do not have an exact truck route yet to approach the site, but I do know that the solar panels are in the holding yard right now and being ready to ship within the next couple of weeks to the site, where they'll be staged periodically around the site in an effort for us to not have to move them a million times as we start building the array.
To get the exact answer, though, we'll check into how many trucks there are, and then I think at the
I
end
believe
of the
there's
day,
going to be 28.
Ryan thinks there's about 28 trucks approximately.
Yeah,
Not a lot.
This is a residential area.
But
It's not-
we'll investigate the path and try to come up with something that's minimally invasive on
85,
everyone.
85, Route 85, they've been trying to send it to Route 11 because of the amount of cars and stuff that travel down 85.
Yeah.
Now you got all these big trucks coming into a residential area that's.
Well, if you had-
small road.
We'll try to avoid some of the things that have happened. Mr. Peterson has another question.
We recently got a notice from the CLNP that they were going to drop our electric supply for about 4 hours.
Let me say something about the upgrades.
The question was, there's been a public notice from CLNP about service interruption. Ryan, do you have intel on that, or?
Yeah, I have a little bit. Again, that we would have to ultimately defer to CLNP to get ultimate clarification on that. But from what we understand, as part of the interconnection, and I believe Mr. Wingardner may have alluded to this before, there will be a utility upgrade along the road where there will be, I believe, replacing. I'm not quite sure, but this is what we assume. They may be replacing some of the poles on Walnut Hill Road that may have become too close over the years or what have you. But again, we're going to have to defer to CLNP, but we could get you that answer.
We don't want to give you the wrong impression that we aren't prepared with information. what they allow us to understand from their improvements usually stops where we're connecting, and the rest of it goes on inside their little black box. So, you know, they give us the connection points, tell us how they want things to be connected, and then after that, we don't have control.
So perhaps could we have a meeting from the CLMP people to tell us what's
We don't
I
have the
will,
authority to request. but
I
we'll
can tell you, we
certainly-
have a fellow who is the regional coordinator for CLMP as a result of Hurricanes Irene and Sandy and Storm Nemo with the snow event. They've restructured how they communicate to municipalities. And I know personally the fellow who's our regional director. I'm happy to get some information. I put it down here, service interruption, and I think if you guys all send me an email, I'll create an email grouping and I'll be able to get information out as I get it. If we need to have a meeting with CLMP, that's fine. We're having a meeting about trucking coming in, that's fine. We're here to try to mitigate these concerns for you, but my main concern is how do we protect the integrity of your property during the construction zone and what's going to happen when the thing is built. And that's what we're trying to do. So I thank these guys for coming out here, giving their time and providing information, because I think that's really what we need. Information is knowledge. And, you know, we can all work to solve problems. We have to know what your concerns are based on what they have to do. And we'll do whatever we can. So are there any other final thoughts that, if not, go ahead.
Well, I was just wondering for the well water testing, should we provide our, like, name and?
What? Send an email to me, I'll forward things up, and that will be probably the easiest way. We'll get communication emails from everybody.
Conduit to us so we can-
And I'll get it to them, and we'll just kind of start a big circle of information, all right? But I thank you all for coming, and I thank these guys for putting it on, and please continue to keep us in the loop with any other questions or comments as you go that may come up as we get going, okay? Thank you all very much.